Welcome to this detailed look at the newly released Vishwanath and Sons trailer. Today, we're stepping into a world that feels, well, incredibly vast and deeply emotional. And what really strikes me right off the bat is that pure, real cinema feel. This isn't some stylized animation. It's a grounded, live-action world that immediately pulls you in. We're going to break down the sheer scale, the intense human drama, and the striking visual storytelling of this high-stakes narrative.
Okay, let's dive into this. Right from the jump, the trailer establishes the worldview of our protagonist, Sanjeev Vishwa, with this incredibly powerful line. Our money and status should be our pride, not arrogance. I mean, that isn't just a throwaway piece of dialogue, right? It's literally the absolute foundation of his character. He's navigating a world of immense wealth, yet he's actively trying to draw a line in the sand between having high standards and losing his humanity to ego. He wants to carry his legacy with honor. To really understand the forces at play here, we're going to untangle this chaotic, fast-paced, 2-minute trailer into 4 distinct themes: legacy, wealth, and pride, the unforeseen medical crisis, complex love and separation, and finally, the philosophy of a winner.
So Chapter 1. Legacy, Wealth, and Pride. The world of Sanjeev Vishwa.
The trailer doesn't just tell us these characters are wealthy. It actively shows us through real, tangible, cinematic extravagance. Just look at the roster of vintage and exotic cars casually mentioned here. We're talking about a Benz 540K, a Corvette, a Porsche, and even a DeLorean. This isn't just about having money in the bank. It's about a curated, high-status lifestyle. It's a massive visual flex, establishing a world where the absolute finest things in history are just everyday commodities to this family.
But, as you know, with massive wealth comes massive ambition and, inevitably, massive pressure. It's not enough to just be rich. Sanjeev's vision for his legacy is incredibly specific and, honestly, super demanding. The quote here says it all: "My son must learn pistol shooting and win an Olympic gold." He isn't just hoping for a well-rounded kid, he's actively engineering a champion. You can immediately feel the heavy weight of those towering expectations resting squarely on the next generation's shoulders.
Which brings us to our second theme, the unforeseen medical crisis, a helpless reality.
And this brilliantly illustrates the central conflict of the film. On one hand, you have the ultimate defense mechanism of the ultra-rich. We can pay anything. But pitted against that is a devastating biological reality. Young Abe urgently needs a bone marrow transplant. The dialogue talks about performing surgery on his tender body and the desperate search for a donor. This is the great equalizer. You can own a DeLorean and a Benz, for sure, but you cannot simply buy a genetic match. Financial power goes completely head-to-head with absolute medical helplessness.
Moving on to Chapter 3, Complex Love and Separation, the Emotional Core.
The romance teased in the trailer is intense, layered, and almost secretive. We hear this beautiful line, "Thinking of your son gives goosebumps. He shows love stealthily." It paints a picture of a love that's felt deeply rather than broadcast loudly, But alongside this passion, the trailer also hints at early warnings, voices telling them not to get too attached, which completely foreshadows the pain that happens when a bond this deep starts to fracture.
Which leads us to a profound, lingering question that the trailer forces us to confront. Why do people separate? The answer provided in the trailer is a heavy, striking realization that elevates the script from standard drama to something deeply human. People don't separate because of fighting, but because they don't know how to talk after fighting. Let that sink in for a second. It isn't the conflict itself that causes the heartbreak, it's the silence, the miscommunication, and the pride that follows. This beautifully ties back to the theme of ego we talked about earlier. Their wealth might protect them physically, but their inability to communicate is what truly tears their world apart.
But of course, the filmmakers know exactly how to balance this heavy drama with grounded reality. Right in the middle of all this tension, we get this surprisingly funny, relatable piece of dialogue. "Now why are you behaving like Chandramukhi Jyothika?" It's a fantastic pop culture reference that perfectly breaks the ice. It shows that despite the Olympic ambitions and the literal life-or-death stakes, these characters still have a dynamic, highly relatable banter.
Finally, our fourth section, philosophy of a winner, the final push.
So the crucial point is Sanjeev Vishwa's ultimate playbook. Step 1, you don't stop until you win. That's the relentless ambition that demanded the Olympic gold. But step 2 is where the true class comes in. After winning, don't keep talking about it. This brings us full circle to our very first thought about pride versus arrogance. A true winner secures the legacy but remains quietly confident.
It's a fascinating high-stakes philosophy for a character who's basically fighting to save his family on multiple fronts.
Which leaves us with this final, burning question to think about. When faced with a shattered romance and an uncontrollable medical crisis, will all this wealth and this relentless willpower actually be enough to save his family's legacy and love? The trailer sets up an incredibly beautiful, cinematic collision course between human vulnerability and unbreakable ambition. I don't know about you, but this perfectly structured glimpse into their world absolutely makes me want to see how this story unfolds.